Shisui Uchiha is definitely a character that exists. But seriously, why is he so overhyped in the Naruto series? He's got to be the most overrated character in Naruto. And there are plenty of overrated characters in Naruto. But Shisui is overrated to such a degree, both in strength and also as a character. So when people claim Shisui is extremely strong and that his Mangekyou is the most powerful Mangekyou out there, they come from that perspective which they say Koto Amatsukami is the most powerful Genjutsu. Itachi even states that, so people tend to respect his opinion. But the page says otherwise. Remember when Danzo put Mifune under Koto Amatsukami because Danzo wanted to become the leader of the Shinobi Alliance? Well, sure, you don't need eye contact, which is a very big thing, but Ao spotted Danzo's Genjutsu very easily, and breaking Mifune out of it was the easiest thing in the world. They just had to tell Mifune, hey, you were under a Genjutsu, man, Danzo's controlling you, and Mifune snapped out of it. Usually in order to break Genjutsu, you have to stop the chakra flow of the person by pumping a bit of your chakra into that system. But apparently with Koto Amatsukami, you just have to tell the other person that you're under a Genjutsu. Doesn't strike me as that powerful of a Genjutsu, man. Of course, there's also the Koto Amatsukami instance when Itachi used the crow. He implanted Shisui's eye to release himself from the Edo Tensei, meaning that he could help the allied forces because he is commanded to defend the Leaf Village. Naturally, this was meant for Sasuke, but still it worked out in Itachi's favor anyway. And you can make the case that Itachi knew he was under Koto Amatsukami. He even told Naruto, hey, I used Koto Amatsukami on myself. I'm on your side now, don't worry about it. So maybe the two eyes work differently. I think Swag Kage mentioned this in one of his videos, that maybe Danzo's eye is a weaker version of Koto Amatsukami that can be used more often. Danzo can use that Koto Amatsukami once per day, while Itachi's eye in the crow was a much more powerful version that has a bigger cooldown. Itachi says it takes 10 years to recharge that without Hashirama cells, which is pretty insane, but I don't think that Shisui would take 10 years. It's much more likely that it would take 10 years because the eye didn't have a proper host and a powerful Uchiha using the jutsu. It was a simple crow, so the eye itself would have to recharge without the chakra of a very powerful Uchiha. And then of course, if you hand Hashirama cells into the equation, they can boost everything. It's pretty obvious that this is the theme around the entire story because a billion characters get Hashirama cells and get a boost in their chakra. Now maybe Danzo having Hashirama cells also helps him having that cooldown reduced, but I think 10 years to 1 day is too big of a jump, even for Hashirama cells to achieve. Maybe Danzo's version without Hashirama cells would take him like a month to recharge, but like 10 years to a day, that's way too much, man. And also Danzo's eye seemed to be much weaker anyway, even with the Hashirama cells. Or maybe Kishimoto just didn't think about it properly and how to handle Koto Amatsukami, because let's be real, it's not a jutsu very easy to write for. Something that can control another person and the other person isn't even aware of it. She's just doing those things thinking it's her own will, but it's a genjutsu all along. I suppose you can argue that the power of this jutsu is counterbalanced by how easy you can break someone out of it just by telling them, but still, in Itachi's case, that didn't work, obviously. Kabuto wanted to reinsert one of those kunais into Itachi's head to control him again with the Edo Tensei, so there was a way to assert dominance over Itachi's Edo Tensei over Koto Amatsukami, but you still had to do that extra step of putting that tag into Itachi again. So Koto Amatsukami is way too overhyped. Shisui also has the teleportation thing. He is a very good user of the body flicker. He used to fight in battlefields with it, while most ninjas only use it to retreat or just travel to somewhere else. Shisui had such control over it that he could apparently use it in fights. And that could have made him pretty powerful. Now, I'm not saying Shisui was absolute fodder, because that's not the case. He used to fight alongside Itachi, and he was certainly fast, I'm not denying that, but if we've never seen him fighting in canon, it's not good to make that type of assumption that he is extremely powerful. I mean, if he was that powerful, Danzo wouldn't have gotten his eye and essentially forced him to commit self-unaliving in that OVA, which isn't canon. He doesn't look very good. I mean, he fights against a couple of Amba members, and apparently he still has his Susanoo. But in the filler episode he fights against Danzo, he is absolutely destroyed by Danzo without his Sharingans. So he didn't really have his arm of Sharingans, he only had one. He uses Izanagi and beats Koto Amatsukami with it. Now, of course, Izanagi is an extremely powerful jutsu that rewrites reality and sacrifices an eye for it, but Shisui was really badly destroyed by Danzo with that filler. And then there's also the novel, which I believe he was caught off guard and poisoned. But still, it looks bad for him. What kind of shinobi gets poisoned? Apparently Shisui does. And people are gonna say that the novels are canon, but no, they're just power fantasies for the titular characters and the overhyped characters in the verse. I mean, the picosecond feat comes from a novel. Itachi has the picosecond feat. But anyway, let's talk about Shisui as a character now. And I don't really understand why people like him so much. I don't have anything against Shisui, and you can like what you like, but just tell me why. He appears in a couple of flashbacks, and he doesn't really appear for real in the manga page for, I don't know, until chapter 500 when Itachi is talking about him. Because if you remember correctly, the first time he was mentioned, it was just the Uchiha guys coming up to Itachi and accusing him of killing Shisui. And Shisui never really appears on screen at that point. And then the only time he gets dialogue is in Itachi's flashback where Shisui is giving him his eye. I mean, yeah, it's a very noble thing he's doing for Itachi and the Leaf Village because he's on the side of the Leaf Village. He doesn't want the coup to happen. And that's everything he does. He doesn't do much more than that. He's Itachi's friend. I mean, it's implied that he is in the story. Everyone says they were best friends and all that, but we never really see that. And I don't care about the filler episodes. I don't really care about that at all. In the manga, Shisui barely ever appears. He is literally a plot device character. That's his only reason for existing in the story. His jutsu, Koto Amatsukami, is a sheer humongous plot device, and that's why Shisui exists. Well, the first time he is a plot device is when he is used to awaken Itachi's Mangekyou. In the first flashback we get about him, we believe that Itachi killed him to awaken the Mangekyou. Of course, we find out later on that that wasn't the case. Itachi only watched him die, and that was enough to awaken his Mangekyou. And then Shisui leaves two of his eyes behind, one with Danzo, which is used as a plot device to attempt to control Mifune in the 5 Kage Summit, and fails. That was really the only use we saw for Danzo's Izanagi, which was just not a lot of stuff. One usage, and that was it. Kinda pointless, to be honest. They didn't even have to do all that legwork to make Danzo control Mifune in the 5 Kage Summit if it was going to amount to nothing anyway. Danzo could have easily used another type of jutsu and Ao could have caught him just fine. It just made sense for it to be Shisui's because of Danzo's connection with the Uchiha clan, but at the end of the day, Shisui's part in the story there wasn't really big. And then we get the most important thing Shisui does as a character in the story, which is to bring Itachi out of the Edo Tensei control with Koto Amatsukami. And honestly, it wasn't even Shisui, it was only his eye. Itachi did it to himself. Well, he wanted to do it to Sasuke, but it kinda backfired in a good way. Of course, Kishimoto needed a plot device to bring Itachi into the work in the good side of things, so that he could encounter Sasuke, fight alongside him. I will always love you and all that. Really great stuff. And yes, it was very good that Kishimoto prepared a powerful jutsu to justify why Itachi was able to break out of the Edo Tensei. Because if it wasn't something extraordinary that did it, then everyone would just think, hey, why doesn't everyone do that then? But no, Itachi breaking out of Koto Amatsukami was almost a fluke. There was only one charge of Koto Amatsukami in 10 years, and obviously there was only one eye left in the world because Danzo destroyed his Shisui's eye. Because Danzo destroyed his eye when he was dying. But that was the only real important thing Shisui ever did, aside from awakening Itachi's Mangekyou in a sense. And that's it. That's Shisui. He doesn't do much more than that. I don't know why people like him so much. He's literally a plot device character. He doesn't really have an arc, because he only appears in a couple of flashback pages, so you can't really have an arc. I mean, his conclusion is kinda nice, the way he goes out. It's an interesting self-sacrifice, but I don't really get all the hype. Maybe people like his design, which is also fine, but I think that he's probably the weakest design among the major Uchiha characters. His Mangekyou Sharingan does look cool, but I would also argue it's the least cool design among the main Uchiha characters for the Mangekyou Sharingan, except for Izuna's Mangekyou. Izuna is pretty dull, to be honest, but then when it gets fused with Madara's to awaken Madara's EMS, that's really sweet. So yeah, Shisui is a character that only appears in flashbacks, barely has any spoken lines, and people love him for it. I don't know, man. I thought Jiraiya, Itachi, and Minato were overrated, but oh, this guy gets the crown because he doesn't do anything like those other characters. But anyway, let me know in the comments below, why do you like Shisui so much? Or if you don't like him, tell me why. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so already. Like this video to help me out against the YouTube algorithm. And also watch this other video right here for more entertaining Naruto content. Thank you so much for watching.